Did you know that there are actually 3 different ways of publishing a book? Hi, my name's Joel Mark Harris. I'm the president of Ghostwriters & Co. And I'm going to talk about the 3 different ways you can publish your book. I'm going to start with traditional publishing because that is the model that everybody knows. It's the one that all the famous writers use. It's the one that's been around for probably about 100 years now. Okay, so there are 5 different major publishers now. In the last 15-20 years, they've really consolidated, and now these are the gatekeepers to the traditionally published world, and they control about 65 to 80% of all traditionally published books. And so how you get your book traditionally published is you usually get an agent who has a relationship with one of these 5 publishers and can present you on your behalf. So there's a lot of good things about this type of publishing. First off, you don't actually have to spend a dime, which is really good, which is not the case with the other 2 models. What you do is you find an agent. You have to pitch them as you would have, anyone else, and they either take you on as a client or they reject you. They will then represent you, and they will pitch the publishers in turn. Now, you don't have to pay an agent. They only get paid when they sell your book to one of the publishers. Now, one of the things that's not so good about traditional published is that it really takes a long time. It takes anywhere between a year to 2 years, sometimes even longer, depending on the process. But because there's not that many agents around, it's really difficult to get one. You have to write a cover letter, send in a couple chapters of your book, and get them to represent you, which, as I said, can be really difficult. And so once you get that agent, then it takes another 6 months to a year for them to actually find a fit for your book. Now, a good thing about traditionally published is that you get the legitimacy of being a traditionally published author, which is, as I mentioned, there's very few of them actually out there. And they're usually reserved for some of the more famous authors like Stephen King, Dan Brown. The authors that you've heard of all have traditionally published deals. So then you can also get on some of the bestseller lists, like New York Times bestseller. You can become a USA Today bestseller or a Washington Post. And then you can also be eligible for a lot of awards, which again you can use in your marketing and all your branding. So once you become a New York Times bestselling author, then you sell more books, you can promote yourself better. The downside is that you give up a lot of your rights as an author when you sign a deal with a publishing house. So if you want to if you want to publish your book as an audiobook, if you want to convert and translate your book into Italian or Spanish, then you oftentimes the publisher will take those rights, and they can either use them or they just park them and hold on to them. As I mentioned, that you don't have any upfront costs with traditionally published, but then your percentage of the overall sales is actually really low as well, and sometimes it's around 4 to 5%. And the reason for that is that the literary agent takes a cut, the publishing house takes a cut, the bookstore that ultimately sells your book, they take a cut as well. And so, as I mentioned, they take on all the financial risk, and they also take a lot of the financial gain if your book becomes successful. The second way of publishing is self-publishing, and this has obviously exploded in popularity in the past 20 years. And with the rise of Amazon, so too has the rise of self-publishing. And the reason that it is so popular is it is just so easy to do. You finish your book, you can publish it in 24 hours, whereas I told you it takes anywhere from a year to 2 years, sometimes even longer, with traditionally published books. Of course, with self-publishing, you take on all the costs as well. So when you do a cover design, you have to hire the artist. When you get the book edited, you have to find the editor. If you do any marketing, if you hire a PR person, then you have to cover those costs. But of course, when you do that, you also take in all your sales. So Amazon only takes about 10% cut, whereas a publishing house, that whole process, somewhere between 90 and 95%. So if you have a good marketing channel, if you have a strong social media presence, then this is a great way of going because you don't have to share any of your profits with anybody else. With self-publishing, it's really hard to get noticed just because there's so many self-published books out there. You don't get on any of the bestseller lists. They won't look at self-publishing books oftentimes. Any big awards also, with any big prizes, they just look at the traditionally published books. So that's a real downside as well. The good thing about self-publishing is that you get full control over your entire book. So with traditional published, if they want to do a specific promotional campaign, or if they really feel strongly about how your cover should look, then they have ultimate say. Of course, a lot of the time they will consult with you, but that just because you want a certain look doesn't necessarily mean you'll get it with a traditionally published deal. You basically surrender a lot of your rights as an author when you sign that contract in exchange for money. Now, the third way is a very new way of doing publishing, and that is a bit of a hybrid model. And so the way this works is that you actually pay a publisher a fee up front. And these fees can vary from $10,000, from $20,000, $50,000, and I've seen as high as $100,000. Now, the benefit of a hybrid model is that you get the expertise of somebody who is who's been in the business a long time, because the publishing industry has consolidated a lot in the last 20 years or so. A lot of publishers have gone into this hybrid model. So you've gotten lots of experience. They can guide you through the entire process and help you make the right decisions when it comes to the look, feel, title, and the publishing, the marketing, and the sale of your book. These publishers often have a sales team that will help you get your book into bookstores, into corner stores, into libraries. Oftentimes they can get you into some awards as well, which help in the promotion of your book. They have formed the relationships with the right people in the industry to get you into those bookstores, which is often not possible when you're doing self-publishing. Now, there is a lot of scams when it comes to publishers, so you have to be really careful on who you choose as a publisher if you decide to do the hybrid model. Make sure to check the reviews, Google the company thoroughly, and make sure that you're making the right decision. Talk to some current customers or clients they have, see if they're happy with what they're given and with the end deal, because it can be easily, you can easily fall into a trap. Now, those are the three ways of publishing. Which method do you like the best? Which method are you most likely to try? Put in the comments below. Please like, subscribe. I've got plenty more helpful videos coming up to talk about book writing, ghostwriting, and publishing. And so like and subscribe. Until next time, my name is Joel Mark Harris.